to the video that nobody asked for, but I'm going to be doing anyways. I'm going to be walking through interview makeup. Interview makeup, to me, is a little bit different from everyday makeup, like work makeup, because it's a little bit more dressed up, but not over the top in a sense. Like, it seems like a little more than you would do in your everyday work, but also you want to stay natural, if that makes sense. The best first way to do that is to just make sure you have good skincare, because if you have poor skincare, then everything you put on top of it's going to look a little funky. And in an interview, people are pretty close to your face because it's usually a pretty intimate situation. So you want to make sure you look fresh and not cakey. That to say, I moisturized, I put sunscreen on, and I'm ready for makeup. I always start with my eyes, and that's just because I know I will mess up, like almost certainly I will mess up my makeup if I did base first and then eyes. So I just skip what I know is the inevitable and start with the eyes. Make sure everything sticks, because I know personally when I get nervous I get sweaty and like red and disgusting. So I have oily eyelids. I'm gonna start with a shadow primer. Also went ahead and filled in my eyebrows because I also like doing that before my eye makeup. Here's the fun part, the eye makeup. At least it's fun for me. I don't know. I'm pulling from this really fun, colorful palette actually, but I'm gonna be sticking to boring. So I'm just taking this brown shade down here and I'm going to be putting it on the outer half of my eye. Honestly terrible at explaining what I'm doing with eyeshadow, so you'll be able to see. It's looking a little scary, but we roughly have a dark shadow, neutral shadow on the corners of my eyes and also a little bit inwards. Next I'm going to take this is a Nudestix pencil kind of thing. It's a very, very dark brown. It's going to be darker than this eyeshadow that I put in here, and I'm going to line my eyes. Went in with the eye crayon, and then I took the back end of this eyebrow brush and basically went over it and smudged it out a little bit. Now at this point I'm going to just go back in, make sure the brown is blended, mostly just blend it without any product on the brush, and then afterwards I'm going to put a lighter shade on my inner corners. So I'm going to take this very light kind of golden cream shade and put that on my inner corners, and this just brightens up the eyes a little bit, and so this makes my face look a little bit more awake. This is definitely optional, but I have this army green pencil, and whenever I put it in my waterline my eyes pop, so I'm gonna just put it in. You can use white, you can use green, you can use any color you'd like. I also have a brown pencil, which on any other given day I probably would use, but because I lined my upper lash line, using a brown in my waterline would close my eyes off. Now let's move on to the face. I'm going to be using this MAC Studio Radiance Face and Body Foundation, and this is very sheer. It basically covers up redness and just the most basic level of imperfections. It enhances your skin and enhances your face, but it doesn't look that perceptible. universal foundation. You can boost up its coverage or let it be its low coverage self. And I personally love keeping it with the coverage that it is. Even, I mean, it's low coverage, but it just evened out my skin tone, and now my face matches my neck a little bit better. My face is very red, but my skin otherwise is yellow toned. I'm going to take a loose setting powder. You can use a pressed powder, anything you'd like, and set the perimeter of my face. And then I also went ahead and applied some blush to wherever I felt like putting it. That is not interview specific. I hate highlighter, powder highlighter, and I think it looks absolutely horrendous in person. So I only use cream highlighter, and I only use a little bit of it. So I'm taking this Glossier Dew Effect highlighter in quartz. I'm just kind of rubbing some on my finger and putting some on the high points here. And this is the kind of highlighter that you can't really screw up. You can't put too much on. So that's nice. And it looks natural. It looks like a normal amount of dew someone would have on their face. And it doesn't look like you're overdoing it. I put it on the tops of my cheekbones, my nose, my upper lip, and also a little bit here. Next up is mascara, but mascara is mascara. So use whichever one you like. I'm just going to use this Honest Beauty Lash Serum. I'm going back to my eyebrows and applying some of this Brow Freeze Brow Styling Wax from ABH because I just think it makes my eyebrows are two very different shapes. And they look weird, but I will never go get them shaped. I just refuse. So this to me gives me a little more control as to the shape of them, even though every time I take a picture they look different, like in the sense of both of them look different every time I take a picture. And last but not least, a lip product. So my rule of thumb is make sure your lipstick matches your blush, and my blush is kind of a mauvey pink, so I'm going to go with this Lisa Eldridge lipstick in Velvet Blush. And it looks kind of dark, but I'm just going to pat it on my lips and then diffuse it out. So there you have it. I would normally set my face with this Milk Makeup Hydrogrip setting spray. I don't know if it does anything, but it makes me feel better. And in an interview, I want to make sure my makeup is the least of my worries. So I like to set my makeup as much as possible. Here's the completed look. My rule of thumb is the more natural the better. The eyes are a little dramatic, but they're brown, they're neutral, and I didn't put anything on my lower lash line. If I put eyeshadow or eyeliner on my lower lash line, I think it would make it look a lot more heavy, but because I didn't, it's less dramatic. Okay, let me know your thoughts.